Okay, we're going to get started with the second half of the finals. Once again, please pay attention to the order in which these guys come up, because you'll be voting for the best of the audience voting, which will win a ticket to a future BevNet Live event. And your votes will also help the judges to make their decision on who's going to win $10,000 in cash and prizes and be the ultimate winner of New Beverage Showdown 8. So let's kick things off. First up, Black Medicine, Chris Copper. Where are you? Cooper, excuse me. I thought it was Cooper, and then we had it as Copper, but anyway. 5 minutes begins now.
I was 58 years old before I drank my first full cup of coffee. Every time I tried a little bit, I was unable to finish because of the bitter, nasty taste. But most people I know, like most of you, love coffee. Finally, a friend showed me that the reason I didn't like coffee was simply that I was tasting bad coffee. How can there be so much bad coffee in the world? With a little investigation, I realized that there are dozens of ways to screw up coffee, from the farmer to the harvest to the importer to the roasting and finally the brewing. I have the little knowledge of chemistry, and so this was a challenge to me. How could one provide a really consistently great cup of coffee to the consumer? So the answer is to control and optimize each one of those steps, all the way from the bean to the cup. Present the consumer with the final product. Don't give them a chance to mess it up. Good coffee, especially iced coffee, can be ready to drink. Over 2 years, I developed a brewing apparatus that retained all of the flavor of the coffee beans without the bitterness. It is not a cold brew. You must brew hot to get all of the coffee flavor. We brew our coffee in a pressurized nitrogen atmosphere, and the difference is immediately apparent to anybody who tastes it. And that's the primary selling point of Black Medicine iced coffee. It clearly tastes better than any other iced coffee on the market. Results from blind tastings have demonstrated this over and over. Black Medicine's flavor is intense, complex, naturally sweet, without bitterness, and bottled without preservatives or stabilizers. But as everybody in this audience knows, having a great product is far from a guarantee of success. There are many challenges in our category. I will address the biggest ones right here, and to make it easy for me to remember, I call them GEMS. So G is for gorilla. The iced coffee category is dominated by one brand that owns almost 90% of the market, but it has no piece of what I would call the artisanal or craft brewed coffee market. In my local Whole Foods, just within the last year, ready-to-drink coffee has expanded from 1 linear foot of shelf space to 8 feet. So there's an expanding subcategory that's rapidly growing compared to the growth of the parent category. We intend to grow along with the growth of that subcategory. Number 2, entry barriers. There must be 50 different ready-to-drink coffees on the market. It's easy to make a cold brew, so everybody does it. But they don't have our trade secret manufacturing process for making a product that tastes better. Anybody can make a cold brew, but they tend to taste very similar. You need something that is distinctly better to stand out from the pack. And for marketing, we're a small company, and we don't have a lot of money to spend on marketing. When we started in January of this year, we had 2 local coffee bars as customers. Despite having 0 contacts in the beverage business, we managed to grow quickly through word of mouth, shoe leather, and self-distribution. We're now getting distribution into over 60 Safeways, soon to be 100. After months of effort, we finally got accepted into 41 Whole Foods, and in January, we will be regional and then ultimately national. We depend on demonstrations, sampling, and the addictive flavor profile of our product. And scaling. Black Medicine has a lab-proven 10-week shelf life when refrigerated, but that limited shelf life makes it difficult to distribute nationwide. That problem will be solved by opening up a few bottling facilities around the country. We can make our highly concentrated coffee base in the mother plant and ship it economically to those bottling facilities. Furthermore, with our process, we can make 30 batches of coffee in the time that it takes a cold brewer to make one. So in summary, Black Medicine is the cure for bad coffee. We have a great product in a fast-growing category. 4 years ago, I began a journey to make the best cup of coffee possible. Black Medicine is the proof that that journey will be a success. Thank you.
Good work. Nicely done. So we heard a lot about obstacles to success. What will make this product successful, Rebecca?
I think he's got a great tasting brand. The issue, I believe, is betting only on taste. I think someone's going to come out and taste as good as you. And I actually think you've got a great bottle and a great idea here with the cure. So I think you should just dial up a little bit of the storytelling together with the great taste. And I think it's going to help you stay different.
John, Chris talked about this being the best cup of coffee or the best tasting coffee that he's ever had. What do you think of the taste?
I think his latte is definitely one of the best, if not the best tasting, ready-to-drink iced coffee products I've had. And I say that as a bit of a coffee geek. But, I think kind of like what Rebecca was saying. I mean, I think he just, the medicine thing, I just don't like that at all. I think, the pressure brewed aspect of it, or however you describe it, I think if you could make the conversation about that, that's something that a coffee geek, who's probably the one who cares about this in the first place, early adopter, they care about that. And right now, I'm kind of I see medicine, I think energy drink and bad, and I think that's going to be a challenge. So,
Ken, you were nodding your head. You want to elaborate?
I agree with the assessments of the couple of eloquent judges. So, I guess one of my questions is, what is the logo? What's the hexagonal logo in the?
Well, the logo it was difficult for us to come up with something, but we finally came up with something that emphasized the fact that we do pressure brewing, which is very distinctly different from a cold brew. And so it's a vise, it's a clamp, and it's squeezing a coffee bean. So we're trying to squeeze the essence out of that coffee bean. That's what it means.
We, in our last magazine issue, talked a little bit about the growth of the cold brew and how it's still sort of confusing for a lot of consumers as if it's iced coffee. Is it really going to make a difference that this is pressure brewed, or that consumers know that it's pressure brewed? Patrick?
Well, I think it would if they knew, but like I said, I think the coffee tastes wonderful. It really is really good. I love the packaging. I actually like the little press. I kind of get that part of it, but as the gentleman was saying over here, I'm not sure about the medicine portion of it, because that was my first question, was what does a medicine mean? But you answered it at the end there. It's a cure to bad coffee, but I don't know that looking at the bottle on the shelf.
Neil, you've seen a lot of packages in your day. What do you think of the packaging?
It's interesting because most ready-to-drink coffee is a very female category. Frappuccinos are really defined around that, and this is a very male package. So I wonder whether the real core user is going to require a little more education about this. I also think that there's kind of some discontinuity between the packages. You have pressure brewed in Oakland on one. There's no reference on this one right here, and I wonder how that's going to be dealt with in the future, and whether that can be either used or taken off or done in a different way. I also found that the NLEA, non-existent on this one, and then this one you can't really read. That needs to also be approached as well. Having said that, amazing taste for a ready-to-drink coffee. I wonder whether that's enough to actually carry the day. But ultimately, this is incredibly difficult to do. I've tried to do this myself, and you made a really great attempt at it.
Mm-hmm. Rebecca, Chris talked about the production process as being an advantage over cold brew because you can brew a lot more, you can make a lot more. How much of a difference, how much of an impact is that going to have, do you think?
I think you got to figure out two things. One is he's got to romance that process. There's a way to tell that story in a way that people understand why it matters to them. Why is there a benefit to that? Does it give it a better taste? What does it give it? And I think if you can pull that out and tease that out, think about like Chipotle. They unpacked their whole supply chain and told that story in a way that really created a competitive difference. So I feel like you got a little bit of that going on here. Process matters today. People care, but they need to understand what the benefit is for them.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of placing this on the shelf next to another coffee product, would that stand out, Patrick, on your shelves versus some of the other things that you have there for
It
the
would to
coffees?
me. It would
Yeah.
jump off the shelf. I mean, I actually love the packaging. I just don't know if I like the name.
Okay, clearly the name is an issue here, but it
guess
sounds like
so.
everything else you got is going well. Any other last thoughts?
I think the name's all right, so just different opinion.
Okay, great. Got to move on. Chris, thanks so much.